Hello guys, today I have a wonderful update for you. We recently launched the feature that will allow you to create a dynamic strategy using TradingView, connected to WunderTrading and create a fully customizable trading bot. So what it is, it's the TradingView script that you can now create and use the JSON in order to pass any dynamic parameters that you want. So the list of parameters is extremely huge. For example, you can customize the order type. Now it's going to be either market or limit. You can create the multiple take profit targets, stop loss, trailing stops, move stop loss to break even. Even the DCA module is in there. So the whole idea here is that with each entry, you can pass the dynamic value and it is fully customizable. So now you can adjust for any market condition, a low or high volatility markets, trending or range market. So let's dive into this one now, and I'll show you how easy it is to set it up. Okay guys, so let's start on our tutorial with how to create a fully customizable signal bot using the TradingView and the JSON script. In order to start, you first need to create the WunderTrading signal bot. To do that, you can go to the WunderTrading platform. In the menu, select the signal bot, and then if you do not have any bots, just create the new one. Write any name that you want. We'll call this one JSON test. We're going to use the Binance demo account that we have on our platform. We're going to select the API for it, and the pair on which we're going to be testing it is going to be Ethereum USDT. The graph of that you can also see on your right hand side from TradingView. The next thing is to select the entries, and the entry setting format will be JSON. You can straight away see that as soon as we selected JSON and the strat condition for the bot was TradingView alert, the form is now gone. So you do not have to fill in anything manually in the form because every variable can be adjustable on each strategy. So now we can just create a signal bot. The second step is the creation of the alerts, but here it's slightly more complicated than in the videos we showed you previously. So the first thing that I strongly encourage you to do is to go to the help center and to check out the article that we created for you about the JSON guide. This article is extremely important, and not only because it will guide you in details on how to set up the signal bot from TradingView using JSON, but at the same time, it will provide you with all the variables and how they should be structured in your code. So if you go to that section, you can see the list of all the variables that you can input into the PineScript code in order to execute your trades. For each variable, you will have the field, you will understand if it's required or not, what is the type of it, and some comments that will tell you what other variables you are allowed to pass. So let's just have a quick example and go to the stop loss parameter, which is quite straightforward. So in our code that I will show to you later, you have the stop loss parameter. There are two important things that how you can determine the stop loss parameter, and it's either going to be a price or a price deviation. So you're either passing the exact price of the asset at which the stop loss will be triggered, or you will pass the percentage of the stop loss from the entry point. In the comment, you can clearly see that if you pass in the price, it should be above 0 and it doesn't have the upper limit. In the range, it should be at least 0.001, and this is going to be in percentage. So for example, 10% stop loss will be equal to 0.1 as a variable. Okay, it's going to become much more clear as soon as we get into the code. For your convenience, what we did is we created the PineScript code example. So basically, if you just copy this code and paste it into the Pine editor and apply it to the chart, you would be able to see straight away a very simple strategy that we created for you, and we wanted to show you as an example of how to pass some of the variables that you can change. So this strategy in particular has the risk and money management module, which means that the capital for this particular strategy is just 1,000, the risk per trade is 2%, and the risk to rewards is 1-to-1. So which means that the stop loss distance will be equal to the take profit distance. We also inputted the backtest starting period, which can be quite beneficial for you if you want to see just the last day, for example. But once again, this strategy is just for the example. We haven't checked anything in order to do with the profitability of that strategy. So you can apply it for your demo trading on WunderTrading in order to see how everything works. And you can improve the code of that strategy as well to make sure that you understand how to pass each of the variables that are allowed to make your strategy fully customizable. The comment sections over here is automatically filled. So basically, the comment that you see right now is exactly the same as you can see on the left-hand side in your WunderTrading signal bot. And this is just done in order to make the process of setting up the signal bot in JSON format easier for you. Okay, so let's just see what's actually happening over here. So as soon as the entry occurs, you can see that we're gonna calculate the amount of dollars that we need to enter with in order to execute the proper risk to reward and the money management. So for example, over here, the stop loss is 0.17% and the take profit is exactly the same, 0.17, because our risk to reward is equal to 1. If we're gonna change this to 2, we should expect that the distance to the take profit will be doubled now. So let's see how it's changed on the graph. Once again, for example, this is your entry. The stop loss over here is 0.2 and the take profit is 0.4. So everything is working correctly and you can play around with it. Let's now move into the code itself and try to understand what is this code, how does it work, and the most important thing, where this JSON part is actually starting in the TradingView code. So right now in front of you, you can see our example code that we just saw on the graph. It is actually built in two large sections. One is the strategy logic. And the key point here is that this is your strategy logic. It can be any strategy logic that you will input, any indicator or strategy that you converted. And this is up to you to come up with any variables that you prefer in order to execute the trades. The second bit is the WunderTrading execution. And this is the part where the JSON format is starting. And let us first go through the strategy itself. And it's a very extremely simple strategy. So basically, what are we looking here at in terms of the long condition is a very simple idea that our current close of the candle should be higher than the previous open of the candle. So as soon as we see the green bar, we're just going to enter. Then we pass in over here the parameters that we need for the entry price, stop loss, take profit, and the entry amount. And then we execute the condition passing the quantity that we have. Once again, if you don't know how to do that, we do have a video on how to create the custom quantity and how to pass the custom quantity. And you can have a look at this one in order to fully understand how to execute the trade with the custom quantity from TradingView. Then on line 57 and 58, you just have the plot functions, which is our visualization. So you just visually see where the take profit target is and where the stop target is. Go into the next section, which is extremely important. This is the JSON formatting. So the first thing is your entry comments and exit comments. Once again, this is inserted over here by default. So as soon as you will select the name of the bot, the exchange, the pair, and the time frame, it will automatically create these alerts for you. So you don't have to do anything extra here. Please do not change anything here manually. If later on you decided to edit the bot and edit the pair or edit the exchange, the comments will be automatically changed in your PineScript code example, so you will have to copy and paste it once again. The next section, which is the JSON customer alert signal bot, is divided into two. The first one is just telling the TradingView that we're gonna use JSON and we need to reformat our code. We need to reform the string and the numeric variables. Do not touch this code. You're supposed to leave this code as it is. The setting parameters is exactly the same as you saw in the help center. So starting from line 90 basically, all the way down, you will see the list of exactly the same parameters that you can change and adjust. The first ones over here, up to line 105, they're compulsory. You should always have this, otherwise the strategy will not work. So you're all the time passing the entry comment, the order type, the amount per trade type, the amount per trade, and leverage. Those are the mandatory variables that you will have to fill in all the time. This part of the code is dedicated to the idea that as soon as the alert is triggered, we're actually going to push those values that we input here. So market, quote, the entry amount, and the leverage amount over here. Our entry amount is taken from the strategy, but you can also fix it if you want. So if you put 100 over here, then you will be passing $100 each time when the new entry occurs. If you want to make this variable adjustable to your strategy, this is why we pass in the entry amount. And if we'll have a look, this entry amount is the variable that we initially defined as 0. Then we actually grant it some value and some calculations, how it's based, and then we pass in this as quantity in our strategy entry parameters. Now, what if you want to enter not as a market order, but a limit order? Then you can easily change it over here. So the first thing that you will need to do is to change the order type. So let's look into the documentation and understand which parameter we need to pass in order to pass the limit order. And it's supposed to be in the entry parameters. So over here you can see the entry parameters, line 96 in our code. Okay. So over here we need to pass it as limit. So the first thing we need to do is to replace this with a limit text. And then we need to enable this code, which is telling us how the limit order should be executed. So you do have the time enforced parameter that you can adjust and make it up to 5,000 minutes. You can see this in the help center on the left hand side as a parameters for limit orders only. Then you can either replace the deviation with some fixed amount, like this one in the example over here, or you can create a variable in your strategy and pass the variable over here to make sure that it will be different all the time. And it's exactly the same with the rest. So you can either select the percents and what is the price type that you're gonna look for. So for example, over here you can pass either bid, ask, or last price. If you don't need the limit, once again, you can just comment this section out and change the entry type back to the market. The next section we can talk about is take profit. Once again, at our current example, we can see that the take profit have just one single target, where we pass in the actual variable for our take profit, which is our price, and we're gonna close 100% of our portfolio. If you want to have several take profit targets, you can just uncomment this line over here and then make sure that it is either equally split, so which means that it will have first take profit, and this should be a different variable. So take profit 1, take profit 2. Once again, these variables should be somewhere in your logic. Those are the variables that you're passing. And basically what it says here is that we're going to have two take profit targets, take profit 1 and take profit 2. And if they're triggered, we're going to close 50% of our position with the take profit 1 and 50% with the take profit 2. This is just an example, once again, of what you can do. Of course, you can activate your stop loss, move stop loss to break even, your trailing stop. You have the additional parameters if you would like to place your conditional orders on the exchange or not. And here it's either true or false. Those are the variables that you have to change in order to either activate it or deactivate this. And then I think it's quite important to see here that we also inputted the DCA module parameters. So once again, what you can do is to uncomment the whole section over here and then either change the parameters manually, or you can put the variables in each of these scenarios. And this is actually quite a powerful tool. So just imagine that every single time when you're entering, you can now adjust to market volatility or market risks. You can also combine it with the quantity amounts that you're passing, so you're fully managing your risk. Every single DCA position can be adjusted to either 7, 5, 10 levels. It's up to you. And you can easily calculate the risks for it, and you can adjust for that risk in every single aspect, including the market's conditions. The last thing in this code is actually your alert signals. So from line 163, you can see that we do have the conditions for entries and exits, either for the long or short position, and for the exit all comments as well. Those comments are taken from the top of your code. So you can see that the enter long comment is coming from line 66, which is automatically inputted for you. So you don't have to change anything in here. Our code in the example is working in the long direction only. So if you want to create the short direction for your strategy as well, then you will need to add the certain conditions over here. So for example, you need to say that if you have a short condition, and this short condition should be stated in your strategy somewhere above, and strategy position size is equal to 0, which means that we are not in any type of the position right now, we can go to the signal alert and put in short. So we are passing this particular signal alert over here, and then save it and add it to the chart. Okay guys, let's run a quick test right now. So what I want to show you is that if we just copy and paste the PineScript code example that we provide to you and just add it to the chart, the last thing which is left is actually to create those signals. So, and it's a very simple and straightaway process because everything is already included in the code. So what you do is you're gonna create the alert, you're gonna select the strategy, and then in the conditions, you will trigger it only when the alert function calls. You don't have to change anything else in the settings tab. In the notifications, you will have to make sure that the webhook is exactly the same as it is written in your bot, and then just press create. So now the alert is ready and waiting for the new entry signal. You can see that the alert was created in the alerts tab. So let's have a look how it works. Currently, it's in the position. So we'll wait for a while, and as soon as the new position will be open, we're gonna see what are the parameters that it passed, how the strategy is adjusting it, what is gonna be the stop loss and the take profit prices because we passed in those, and the quantity as well. And we'll wait for a couple of entries to make sure that every time when the strategy is entering, it's actually a different parameter that is passed, different value of that parameter. So let's just wait. The bot was successfully saved and it's going to be appearing in your WunderTrading platform. You can see that all the parameters are coming as a JSON inputs. So let's just wait and see what's going to happen. Okay guys, so let's check what happened in the recent time. While we kept the bot running, the most important thing is that we just wanted to check that the signals are coming through and the information that is passed is accurate. So let's have a look. This is the current entry, the most recent one that is currently opened. And we passed $9,132 at the entry price of around 2,696. So we can see that this is exactly the amount in dollars that we passed over here. And at the same time, this is the entry price. So currently it's monitoring the entry position over here. And the previous ones were also opened with different volumes amount, as you can see. So all of them were adjusted based on the risk. And this is the core idea, to check that we are passing all these dynamic variables and it is adjusted automatically. Couple of key points at the end, that if you are creating a signal bot and using JSON for dynamic variables to execute your trades, the important thing would be to take into consideration the slippage, the commission. It is important for any strategy that you're going to be using. However, this video was primarily dedicated to how create the signal bot using JSON in order to create a dynamic variables and make a fully customizable TradingView bot. That's it for this video. Best of luck with your trading.